The Ronald Read Paradox. Ronald Read, a Vermont janitor and gas station attendant, died with an $8 million fortune. Richard Fuscone, a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive, declared bankruptcy. This isn't an anomaly. It's the Ronald Read Paradox, a glaring testament to the disconnect between high income and net worth, what we might call the Henry high earners, not rich yet syndrome. Today on 60 Minutes Book Wisdom, we're decoding this matrix. We're not discussing market timing or exotic investment strategies. We're peeling back the layers of human behavior to reveal the bedrock principles that allowed a janitor to outperform a Wall Street executive. By the end of this segment, you will possess the net worth velocity equation, a mental model to accelerate your personal financial trajectory, irrespective of your starting income or market volatility. This isn't for those chasing the ephemeral promises of crypto whales or meme stock moonshots in the attention economy. It's for the disciplined pragmatist, the one who understands that timeless financial gravity still reigns supreme amidst the digital noise of 2024. First, let's confront your burn rate. It's the insidious leak in your financial pipeline. A high income, especially in the remote work era, often fuels an equally high, often invisible burn rate, convincing you that more income automatically translates to more wealth. But as Arcad, the richest man in Babylon, warned in his foundational counsel to the citizens, what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary. This isn't just about budgeting, it's about a conscious allocation protocol. We must actively define and defend the resources dedicated to our future selves. Your burn rate is like a gravitational pull. If not actively managed, it will consume all resources, leaving no escape velocity for wealth creation. Next, we identify the wealth gap. A high salary is a stream, not a reservoir. Many professionals, caught in the cycle of demanding careers, mistakenly equate income with wealth. They possess an abundant flow of gold, but lack a true store of it. In the chapter, The Richest Man in Babylon, Arcad's friends lament their empty purses despite years of hard labor. What have you to show for your earnings of the past month? What for the past year? Fool, you pay to everyone but yourself. This is the core insight. If you earn a substantial income through AI consulting or coding, yet your net worth remains stagnant, you are experiencing this wealth gap. You are diligently filling a sieve, not a bucket. The money flows in, but it drains out just as quickly to gratify desires that expand with every pay raise. This brings us to the janitor protocol. Ronald Read's success wasn't due to a high IQ strategy, but a behavioral algorithm of consistent saving and prudent investing. It's the antithesis of the fickle fate mindset that Arcad decried. The core principle, drilled into Arcad by Algamish, was stunningly simple. A part of all I earned was mine to keep. Not a part to save, not a part to invest, but mine to keep. As Algamish profoundly stated, that was sufficient to change the heart of a sheep herder into the heart of a money lender, he replied. This is the consistent accumulation algorithm. It prioritizes paying your future self first, before all other expenditures. It means that whether you are developing decentralized applications or serving coffee, a fixed portion of your earnings is immediately allocated to wealth-building assets. It's a deliberate act of self-sovereignty over your financial destiny, a stark contrast to the common narrative that you need to be an investment guru to build substantial wealth. The consistent application of this protocol, even with modest sums, compounds over time into a formidable advantage. One might argue that in today's volatile markets, simply saving isn't enough. You need aggressive, high-return strategies. The allure of generational wealth built on a single, high-risk bet is powerful, especially with stories of early crypto fortunes. However, as the 5 laws of gold clearly state, Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. This isn't about avoiding risk, but understanding it. Reed understood it. Fuscone, perhaps, overestimated his understanding or his control over external forces. The janitor protocol doesn't preclude intelligent investing. It funds it, providing the capital base that makes wise, long-term investments possible without the pressure of needing a quick win. Fuscone had the income, but Red had the algorithm. To acquire that algorithm, we must first violate the most common financial advice given to the middle class, the capital accumulation constraint. Why do so many of us, despite earning diligently in the most innovative era of human history, the age of AI, remote work, and unprecedented access to global markets, find our financial accounts resembling the desolate marketplaces of ancient Babylon? This isn't a book for those content with mere subsistence, nor for those seeking fleeting lottery wins in crypto or speculative markets. This wisdom is for the ambitious, for the builders, for those who seek to convert ephemeral income into enduring wealth. In the timeless parables of the richest man in Babylon, we confront what I term the capital accumulation constraint. This isn't a mystical barrier, but a fundamental human tendency, a behavioral glitch that prevents even the most industrious among us from retaining the fruits of our labor. The first cure for a lean purse, as Arkad reveals, is not to earn more, but to reframe your relationship with your earnings. Consider the tithe to self protocol. It's elegantly simple, yet profoundly difficult for many to implement. The core principle, as Arkad puts it in the chapter The Richest Man in Babylon, a part of all you earn is yours to keep. It should be not less than a tenth no matter how little you earn. Pay yourself first. This isn't about saving what's left over. It's about allocating a fixed, non-negotiable percentage of every single income stream to your future self, before anything else. This leads directly to the invisible money rule. If that capital hits your primary checking account, it's already conceptually spent, allocated to the myriad desires that inevitably expand to fill your available resources. The solution: intercept it upstream. Automate a 10% transfer to a distinct asset account on payroll day. This is your preemptive capital capture algorithm. It bypasses the conscious mind's urge to spend, making your savings invisible to your immediate consumption impulses. Think of it like a tax you impose upon yourself, but with the highest conceivable return on investment, your future financial freedom. Now, I can already hear the strongest Steelman objection. But I genuinely don't earn enough to save. My necessary expenses consume everything. Arkad directly addresses this. He doesn't dismiss the reality of lean times. Instead, in the chapter 7 Cures for a Lean Purse, he asks the egg merchant a simple question. If thou select one of thy baskets and put into it each morning 10 eggs and take out from it each evening 9 eggs, what will eventually happen? The merchant replies, it will become in time overflowing. Arkad then says, for every 10 coins thou placest within thy purse take out far used but 9. Thy purse will start to fatten at once, and its increasing weight will feel good in thy hand and bring satisfaction to thy soul. This isn't about brute force. It's about strategic reprioritization. You must reframe your expenses. Payments to your landlord, utility company, or even the latest streaming service are all payments to others. Your saving, that consistent 10%, is the only payment you make to yourself. This is the primitive version of modern corporate retained earnings, where a company prioritizes reinvesting profit back into itself for growth, even before dividends. Think of the founding of Apple Computer. Steve Jobs and Wozniak didn't sell their first van and calculator to buy better clothes. They capitalized the company. They paid the entity first. Arkad's advice to the egg merchant is the primitive, personal finance version of this same profound economic truth. The psychological shift from residual saver, someone who saves if there's anything left, to a priority saver, is the foundational lever of wealth. It acknowledges that self-imposed constraint creates a mental framework for optimal resource allocation. This discipline, sustained over time, initiates a compounding effect, not just of capital but of confidence and strategic foresight. But retaining capital is useless if your lifestyle expands like a gas to fill the container. We must address the entropy of wealth. Parkinson's Law of Finance. Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent, generated hundreds of millions of dollars during his music career. Yet, in 2015, he filed for bankruptcy. His necessary expenses, he confessed, had expanded to include a 30-room mansion, luxury cars, and gardening bills that eclipsed the average annual salary. This modern paradox illuminates a timeless truth, one articulated by the ancients of Babylon. The insidious creep of expenditure, a phenomenon we now term Parkinson's Law of Finance. This is not a new affliction. Even in ancient Babylon, the challenge was to master the elusive art of controlling one's spending, ensuring that a rising tide of income didn't simply lift all boats of desire. Our wise mentor, Arkad, understood this fundamental economic principle with piercing clarity. As he put it in the chapter delineating the 7 cures for a lean purse, addressing the common struggle, that what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary. This isn't merely advice. It's a foundational economic observation that remains terrifyingly relevant in the era of subscription fatigue, rapid consumption, and algorithmic impulse buying. The relentless expansion of desires, disguised as needs, is the primary enemy of a fattening purse. Arkad's second cure for a lean purse is precise: control thy expenditures. But how do we, in a world where new temptations are literally beamed onto our smart devices every second, truly control them? The answer lies in a rigorous application of what I call the Desire Audit Protocol. The Desire Audit Protocol asks you to itemize every single coin spent. Forget broad categories. Every streaming service, every microtransaction in your favorite AI-powered game, every crypto trading fee, every meal delivery, every remote work gadget that promised to optimize your productivity but now gathers dust, list it. Then, ruthlessly label each expenditure: survival or ego. Survival means rent, basic sustenance, essential utilities. Ego encompasses everything else that expands merely because your income allows it, or because the attention economy has manufactured a new perceived need. Arkad provides the bedrock for this audit. Confuse not the necessary expenses with thy desires. In the age of AI-driven personalization and endless digital content, this distinction is blurrier than ever. What feels necessary to stay relevant in a remote work environment, or to keep up with digital trends, is often pure desire. This audit is your analytical scalpel, cutting through the illusions of modern consumption. Now, many hear budget and immediately recoil, picturing a straitjacket on their financial freedom. They steelman the argument, stating, "I am a free man. I believe that it is my right to enjoy the good things of life. Therefore do I rebel against the slavery of a budget which determines just how much I may spend and for what." Arkad heard this very sentiment from his students. His response cuts through the noise. The purpose of a budget is to help thy purse to fatten. It is to assist thee to have thy necessities and, insofar as attainable, thy other desires. It is to enable thee to realize thy most cherished desires by defending them from thy casual wishes. This reveals the profound wisdom of reframing. A budget is not a constraint. It is a financial defense system. It's the strategic firewall protecting your nascent wealth from the incessant, often subtle, attacks of consumerism and lifestyle creep. Without this defense, your finances are an open server, vulnerable to every digital predator and marketing algorithm. The protocol here is simple. Automate your allocation first. Deduct your chosen savings portion, Arkad suggested no less than 1/10, the moment your income arrives. Then, and only then, allocate the remaining 9/10. This prevents your necessary expenses from automatically absorbing your entire income. Furthermore, within this defense system, every expenditure must pass a rigorous filter, the 100% value mantra. Arkad instructed, "Let thy motto be 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent." This is not about being cheap. It's about optimizing your return on investment for every dollar. In a marketplace overflowing with options, from digital services to physical goods, demanding 100% appreciated value means questioning not just the price, but the true utility, joy, and long-term benefit derived. Are you getting full value, or are you just conforming to a manufactured norm? This mantra compels a ruthless optimization of your consumption, freeing capital that would otherwise be squandered on mediocre desires. Once you have capped the burn rate, you have a surplus. Now, most professionals make a critical error. They let the surplus sit idle. The golden slave's heuristic. Most people treat money like inert rock. They mine it, they pile it, they occasionally spend it. But what if money isn't inert at all? What if it's a living, breathing workforce, silently toiling for your prosperity? This is the core insight of the third cure, a principle that transforms static savings into a dynamic empire. In the lore of Babylon, the rich man Arkad posed a profound question. How do you put your treasure to labor and increase it? It's a challenge as relevant in today's attention and algorithmic economy as it was 6,000 years ago. The answer lies in anthropomorphizing capital, viewing every single dollar, every piece of gold, not as currency, but as a loyal employee. Consider this: your saved capital is not just a numerical value. It is a workforce. A dollar invested wisely is a golden slave, as Arkad so eloquently described, working tirelessly, even while you sleep or engage in other pursuits. This workforce has the unique ability to reproduce. Each earning that your capital generates is a child of that capital, a new, younger employee ready to join the ranks and contribute to your growing enterprise. The critical infanticide check comes into play here. Before you spend any income generated by your investments, pause. Recognize that you are effectively consuming the children of your capital. As George S. Clason, the author, puts it, you do eat the children of your savings. Then how do you expect them to work for you? And how can they have children that will also work for you? This isn't just a quaint parable. It's a cold, hard economic truth about diminishing your productive base. Every dividend, every interest payment, every profit taken out rather than reinvested reduces the size of your working army. This is the perpetual growth protocol. Prioritize the expansion of your capital workforce. Think of the Rothschild dynasty. Meyer Amschel Rothschild didn't just accumulate gold. He circulated it within the family network, creating a compounding machine where every franc earned by one branch financed the operations of another. They treated capital as living labor, not static storage, enabling intergenerational wealth building that outlived empires. For the modern strategist, in an era of AI-driven markets and rapid financial innovation, this workforce visualization is paramount. A small, early investment in a robust dividend-paying stock, a crypto asset with a solid staking mechanism, or a venture fund focused on recurring revenue businesses, if continually reinvested, grows exponentially. Imagine a single digital golden slave from a decade ago. If its children were always reinvested, what kind of army would you have today? This compounding timeline is not theoretical. The book itself provides an example of silver multiplying almost 17 times over 50 years through compound interest. Clason writes, Every gold piece you save is a slave to work for you. Every copper it earns is its child that also can earn for you. If you would become wealthy, then what you save must earn, and its children must earn, that all may help to give to you the abundance you crave. Now, you might argue that rapid gains are possible with aggressive, short-term ventures, the allure of meme stocks, high-risk crypto plays, or viral e-commerce. You might say, why wait for golden slaves to multiply when I can seize a massive payday now? This is the powerful, almost irresistible counter-narrative, amplified by social media's highlight reels of instant millionaires. But this approach often mistakes gambling for strategy. It ignores the fundamental laws of long-term wealth accumulation that favor diligence over speculation. It's about building a robust, self-replicating system, not hitting a lottery ticket. Your army of golden slaves is ready to work. But there is a predator waiting to slaughter them, usually disguised as a friend with a great opportunity. The brickmaker fallacy. One day, Algamish, the moneylender, returned to Arkad and asked what he had done with his savings. Arkad, with pride, declared he had given his gold to Asmer, the brickmaker, who was traveling overseas to buy rare Phoenician jewels. They would sell them at high prices and divide the profits. Algamish roared with laughter. Every fool must learn, but why trust the knowledge of a brickmaker about jewels? Would you go to the bread maker to inquire about the stars? Indeed, the Phoenicians were scoundrels, selling worthless bits of glass. Arkad's treasure was lost. This ancient tale from Babylon illuminates the essence of the fourth cure for a lean purse. Guard thy treasures from loss. It's not just about accumulating capital, but about rigorously defending it from entropy and deception. The brickmaker fallacy is as potent today, in an age of digital assets and AI-driven ventures, as it was in ancient Babylon. The core of this fallacy is simple. Never take investment advice from someone who isn't a proven, practicing expert in that specific domain. Arkad learned this bitter lesson from Asmer, the brickmaker peddling jewels. Asmer was competent at bricks, not Phoenician trade. Consider the Theranos collapse. High-profile investors like Rupert Murdoch and Betsy DeVos poured millions into a medical technology company led by Elizabeth Holmes, a college dropout. They sought counsel from a board filled with politicians and lawyers, essentially brickmakers, about jewels in the form of blood testing technology. They ignored the profound skepticism from the actual medical community, falling prey to the allure of rapid, outsized returns promised by someone operating far outside their genuine circle of competence. As Arkad observed in the chapter on the richest man in Babylon, today, my training would show to me at once the folly of entrusting a brickmaker to buy jewels. This leads us to the competence veto protocol. Before committing capital, ask, is the person advising this investment a proven, successful practitioner in this exact field? And if not, are they directly compensated by the success of the underlying asset, or merely by the act of selling the opportunity? If the advisor lacks direct, verifiable, and successful experience, issue an immediate veto. Their advice, however well-intentioned, is structurally unsound. Building on this, the source audit protocol mandates a deeper inquiry. Does this person make money from the investment or selling the investment? In the current crypto landscape, this is critical. Many influencers make their wealth by promoting tokens, NFTs, or courses, not by holding the assets themselves through sustained market cycles. Their incentive structure is misaligned with yours. They are the Phoenician scoundrels selling bits of glass. Arkad's wisdom boils down to a fundamental economic truth: principal protection protocol. The return of capital must always precede the return on capital. Asterisk asterisk, as he puts it in the section on the fourth cure. The first sound principle of investment is security for thy principal. Is it wise to be intrigued by larger earnings when thy principal may be lost? I say not. The penalty of risk is probable loss. This isn't about avoiding risk entirely. It's about managing it with ruthless discipline. Think of your capital as a deep-sea submersible. Its primary mission is to explore the ocean floor for treasures, returns. But the first, non-negotiable protocol is the integrity of its hull. Without a sound hull, any venture into the deep is not an exploration, but a suicidal plunge. The treasure might be there, but you'll never return with it. Investing without securing your principal is like launching a submersible with a known leak, hoping it'll find gold before it implodes. Some might steelman the counter-argument. But what about exponential growth? The early bird catches the worm. In the age of AI and unprecedented technological leaps, if you don't take big risks, you'll be left behind. This argument preys on FOMO, the fear of missing out. The book, in its discussion of the 5 laws of gold, cautions, "Be not misled by thine own romantic desires to make wealth rapidly." Yes, some early risks pay off spectacularly, but true wealth, the sustainable kind, is built on robust foundations, not speculative fireworks. The exponential gains in early AI or crypto often benefit those who sold shovels, not necessarily those who mine the most speculative assets without due diligence. The illusion of effortless riches in the attention economy, fueled by gurus selling secrets on social media, mirrors the Phoenician scoundrels. The fourth cure is a stark reminder. Prudence is not cowardice. It is the cornerstone of enduring prosperity. By applying the competence veto, the source audit, and the principal protection protocol, you build an impregnable financial fortress, ensuring your capital lives to fight another day, and crucially, to multiply. You have protected the principal. Now we must address a controversial piece of advice that might be the book's only flaw in the 21st century: the asset illusion, the siren song of homeownership. For centuries, the ideal has been clear: own the roof that shelters you. It's woven into the fabric of prosperity, from ancient Babylon to the modern West. But what if that cherished dream, uncritically pursued, becomes a financial anchor, dragging you down in an ocean of illiquidity? In the chapter dedicated to the 7 cures for a lean purse, George S. Clason presents the 5th cure: make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Arkad, the richest man in Babylon, advocated owning a home for the pride, stability, and reduced cost of living it brings. He suggested, "To a man's heart it brings gladness to eat the figs from his own trees and the grapes of his own vines. To own his own domicile and to have it a place he is proud to care for, putteth confidence in his heart and greater effort behind all his endeavors." A noble sentiment, steeped in a simpler economy where physical property was unequivocally a primary store of value and source of self-sufficiency. But let's decode this ancient wisdom through a modern, Mungeresque lens of rational economics. In our accelerated 2024 to 2025 landscape, characterized by remote work fluidity and unprecedented market volatility, the calculus has shifted. The common argument for homeownership is powerful. Rent is dead money. Buying builds equity. This is a steelman of a deeply ingrained belief. However, we must critically examine the rent-to-price ratio and the true return on investment. Owning a home comes with a cascade of hidden costs: property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and the immense opportunity cost of your down payment. Unless the appreciation of your home significantly outpaces these expenditures plus what you could have earned by investing your capital elsewhere, it's not an investment in the purest sense. It's a consumption asset that masquerades as a production asset, akin to buying a high-end supercomputer solely for gaming, rather than for training a profitable AI model. The latter generates revenue, the former an experience. Our protocol, therefore, is the 25% housing allocation. Your total housing costs, be it rent or mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, and an allocated maintenance fund, should ideally not exceed 25% of your gross income. Exceeding this threshold can lead to becoming house poor, a condition that directly strangles Arcad's foundational first cure. Start thy purse to fattening. The real-world consequence. Look no further than the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis. Millions, convinced that buying was always superior, ignored market fundamentals and inflated valuations. They committed disproportionate percentages of their income to housing, becoming so financially rigid they couldn't weather even a minor economic shift, leading to widespread foreclosures. They confused shelter, a necessity, with an automatic wealth generator, failing to adhere to Arcad's principle from the same chapter. Budget then thy necessary expenses. Touch not the 1/10 that is fattening thy purse. And what of equity? It's wealth, proponents exclaim. Yet home equity is often dead capital, illiquid, inaccessible, and providing no direct cash flow unless you sell or, more strategically, leverage it. In the era of remote work and the gig economy, geographic mobility is an increasingly valuable asset. Tying up substantial capital in an illiquid home can restrict your ability to chase new economic frontiers or capitalize on emerging industries like AI or decentralized finance. It's like having all your valuable data stored on a local, proprietary server when the world demands cloud flexibility and interoperability. Our leverage for production rule is clear. Only consider unlocking home equity if that capital can be strategically deployed into a truly productive asset that demonstrably generates a return significantly higher than your borrowing costs, or if it facilitates a strategic life pivot with a clear, quantified ROI. Otherwise, your capital remains dormant, unable to multiply. Whether you rent or buy, you need a safety net. Not just for you, but for the version of you that can no longer work. The black swan hedge. The financial world fixates on the next bull run, the next disruptive tech, the exponential gains. But what if the greatest threat to your family's prosperity isn't a market crash, or even a deep recession, but simply you? Specifically, the abrupt cessation of your most valuable asset, your human capital, your future earning capacity. This is the ultimate black swan event for most households, and Arcad, the richest man in Babylon, offers a surprisingly modern, actuarial hedge against it. One might steelman the argument that term life insurance is a dead expense, a net negative ROI if you live a long, healthy life. Why allocate precious capital to a probabilistic payout, especially when illiquid wealth in high growth, volatile assets like crypto seems to promise far greater returns in the current attention economy? The savvy investor, they'd argue, maximizes capital allocation for growth, not for events that may never materialize. Yet, this perspective fundamentally misunderstands the purpose of a hedge. As Arcad, speaking in a chapter on future provision, puts it with profound foresight, the life of every man proceedeth from his childhood to his old age. This is the path of life, and no man may deviate from it unless the gods call him prematurely to the world beyond. Therefore do I say that it behoves a man to make preparation for a suitable income in the days to come, when he is no longer young, and to make preparations for his family should he be no longer with them to comfort and support them. This isn't about an investment with an expected positive return. It's about insulating against catastrophic loss. It's the economic equivalent of a structural engineer reinforcing a building against a 1-inch to 1,000-year earthquake. The cost is high, the return is zero if the event doesn't occur, but the alternative is ruin. Consider the fate of long-term capital management, LTCM, a hedge fund advised by Nobel laureates that failed to insure against impossible market events. They picked up pennies in front of a steamroller, lacking the insurance protocols that Arcad mandates for the wise man. So, how do we implement Arcad's sixth cure, ensuring a future income? We adopt the 3-bucket survivorship protocol. 1. Immediate liquidity bucket. 6 to 12 months of essential expenses. This buffer provides crucial breathing room for your dependents to navigate the immediate aftermath without financial panic. It's the runway required to process grief, make decisions, and avoid forced asset sales. Think of it as the emergency landing strip for your family's financial aircraft. 2. Transitional capital bucket, long-term liabilities. This addresses fixed, large future expenses. Fund the remaining mortgage, outstanding debts, and crucially, long-term educational goals for your children. This capital ensures that the black swan of mortality doesn't cascade into a dark winter of insurmountable debt and foreclosed dreams. 3. Future income replacement bucket. Decades of living expenses. This is the long-term solution. Calculate the capital sum needed to generate a sustainable, inflation-adjusted passive income stream, replicating your lost human capital's contribution for decades. This could be achieved via a diversified portfolio, high-quality real estate, or other stable income-producing assets designed for safe withdrawal rates. Arkad implicitly warns against relying on a single income stream. When he speaks of planning certain investments or provisions that may endure safely for many years, he's laying the groundwork for diversified income. In the volatile 2020s, where remote work can evaporate due to AI advancements and traditional pensions are increasingly precarious, building multiple independent cash flow engines, from income-producing real estate to diversified equity portfolios, or even stablecoin lending within a robust framework, is no longer a luxury but a strategic imperative. The aim is to create streams that continue flowing, regardless of your physical presence or ability to work. This provides, as Arkad advises, a suitable income in the days to come when he is no longer young. The purest form of this mortality hedge for parents is term life insurance. In a truly profound passage, Arkad envisioned such a mechanism. I would that I might say more about this. In my mind rests a belief that someday wise-thinking men will devise a plan to insure against death whereby many men pay in but a trifling sum regularly, the aggregate making a handsome sum for the family of each member who passeth to the beyond. This do I see as something desirable and which I could highly recommend. But today it is not possible because it must reach beyond the life of any man or any partnership to operate. It must be as stable as the king's throne. This is precisely what term life insurance accomplishes today. A trifling sum regularly secures a handsome sum for your family. It's a non-negotiable expense, not an investment, providing an almost infinite return if the unthinkable occurs. It's an efficient allocation to mitigate the highest impact, lowest probability risk to your financial dependents. While the pursuit of gold is often about accumulation, this cure is purely about protection. Raw cash hoarding in a hiding place, as Arkad notes, is vulnerable to the loot of thieves. Professional, secure insurance is the modern equivalent of the king's throne in stability. Defensive moats are essential, but you cannot win a war with defense alone. You must sharpen your sword. Human capital compounding. In the hallowed halls of financial wisdom, a curious paradox often arises. We spend countless hours optimizing our investments, our budgets, even our tax strategies, yet neglect the most potent asset we possess, our human capital. We believe the path to greater wealth lies out there, in market movements or lucky breaks, when in fact the Babylonians taught us it begins within. This segment unveils the seventh and arguably most foundational cure for a lean purse, increasing your ability to earn. The book's sage, Arkad, encountered a young man whose lament echoes through millennia, even to our modern economy. My earnings were insufficient to pay my expenses. What was Arkad's counsel? Not merely to trim costs, but to question, as he put it, "What dost thou to increase thy capacity to earn?" This isn't about working harder at the same low-value task. It's about a strategic, almost alchemical transformation of self. Let's dissect this with the precision of a Babylonian architect. The core principle here is the craftsman's mindset. Many assume increasing ability means demanding a higher wage for the same output. But this is a distortion. As Arkad observed in the chapter The Richest Man in Babylon, in the early days of his scribal work, as a man perfecteth himself in his calling, even so doth his ability to earn increase. This is the ROI of relentless skill mastery. You stop focusing on the arbitrary external reward and instead become obsessed with the intrinsic quality of your output. When you elevate your craft beyond mere competence, recognition, and thus greater earnings become an inevitable gravitational pull, not a desperate plea. Consider the modern software engineer who merely codes versus one who also masters explaining complex technical concepts to non-technical executives. Or the data analyst who only runs reports versus one who can craft compelling narratives from data, influencing key business decisions. This is the essence of the skill stack strategy, combining two or more average skills to create a rare and valuable combination, forming a unique monopoly of utility. Take the celebrated example of Scott Adams, creator of the Dilbert comic strip. He himself admitted he wasn't the funniest person, the best artist, or the most experienced businessman. But by compounding average skills in all three: humor, drawing, and business satire, he created a unique niche that generated massive wealth. He perfected his ability to earn by diversifying his utility. In the current attention economy, where unique voices cut through the noise, a distinctive skill stack is your most formidable competitive moat. It's the equivalent of a Babylonian merchant learning not just how to trade, but also how to speak Phoenician and navigate the treacherous desert routes, multiplying his market access and reducing his reliance on intermediaries. This leads us to the continuous education protocol. Arkad didn't mince words about stagnation. He urged men to be in the front rank of progress and not to stand still, lest they be left behind. This isn't a suggestion. It's a protocol for survival and advancement. In an era of exponential change driven by AI, quantum computing, and decentralized networks, standing still is a guaranteed path to obsolescence. Our protocol: implement an annual human capital upgrade budget. Just as you allocate capital for investments, dedicate a fixed percentage of your income, perhaps 5 to 10%, to acquiring new skills, certifications, or even mentorship. This isn't an expense. It's an investment in your future earning potential, a perpetual reskilling mechanism that keeps you in the front rank of progress. It's like upgrading your internal operating system. A small, consistent allocation yields massive, compounding returns over time. Now, some might steelman the counter-argument. I'm already struggling to make ends meet. How can I possibly allocate time or money to learn new skills when my immediate survival is at stake? This is the voice of the young man in Babylon, asking for a raise, perpetually trapped by his current circumstances. Arkad's response would be swift. This mindset is a self-imposed limitation. The time not spent enhancing your value is time spent deepening your rut. You're not too busy to learn. You're too busy not learning to achieve sustainable prosperity. The initial sacrifice is akin to the discomfort of building any muscle. It's a temporary strain for a permanent increase in strength and capacity. The wisdom of Babylon isn't just about accumulating gold. It's about cultivating the means to attract gold. By deliberately stacking skills, committing to exceptional output, and embedding continuous learning into your financial DNA, you engineer your own luck. You have the skills. You have the capital. But do you have the psychological trigger to pull the trigger when the goddess of luck arrives? The opportunity algorithm. We chase luck, invest in fortune tellers, and yet, the secret to attracting prosperity lies not in chance, but in a profound paradox. Luck often favors those who actively hunt it down. In the sun-baked streets of ancient Babylon, where fortunes were forged and lost. The wisest among men understood this truth. Today, as we navigate the digital gold rush of AI, the volatile currents of crypto, and the relentless demands of the attention economy, we often hear that success is about being in the right place at the right time. The strongest argument against proactive luck generation is precisely this. True luck, many believe, is a capricious goddess, bestowing her favors arbitrarily, rendering human effort secondary, if not entirely irrelevant. Why toil endlessly when a single serendipitous event could change everything? This fatalistic view is both comforting and crippling. But what if the goddess Ashta, whom the Babylonians revered as the instigator of all good fortune, wasn't so capricious after all? In the chapter Meet the Goddess of Good Luck, Arkad, the richest man in Babylon, challenges this very notion. He probes his students, asking whether good luck bespeaks but a chance happening that, like an accident, may befall one without purpose or reason. He concludes that good luck can be enticed by accepting opportunity. This is our first protocol, the procrastination kill switch. When a validated opportunity appears, you must execute immediately. Consider the merchant in Arkad's discussion, whose father advised him to invest 1/10 of his earnings. He recounts, "I delayed making a decision until it was too late, much to my subsequent regret. This wasn't bad luck. It was deferred action." In today's fast-paced markets, whether it's a critical new API integration for a remote work tool, a flash dip in a promising altcoin, or securing a domain name for an AI startup, the window for a validated opportunity can close faster than a Babylonian gate at sunset. As the Syrian from the desert so eloquently put it, "Any man who not step quick when opportunity comes, he big procrastinator like our friend, this merchant." This leads to our second protocol, the luck surface area rule. While true randomness exists, we can increase our probability of favorable asymmetry by simply taking more actions. Think of it as casting a wider net in a sea teeming with digital data. In the book, characters don't just sit and wait. They labor to build chariots, trade across seas, teach the laws of gold. They are constantly engaging with the world, creating more points of contact for luck to strike. This is not unlike Bill Gates and the IBM contract. Gates didn't have an operating system when he pitched IBM. He sold the promise, then immediately flew to Seattle to buy QDOS from another programmer. He seized the opportunity first and solved the problem second. He exponentially increased his luck surface area by acting on a nascent opportunity, rather than waiting for perfect conditions. In the attention economy, this means shipping imperfect products, writing more often, creating more content, engaging with more communities. Every ship is a lottery ticket, and the more tickets you hold, the better your odds. As Arkad puts it, men of action are favored by the goddess of good luck. Our third protocol is the regret minimization framework. When faced with a decision, particularly one involving risk, consider which path will lead to less regret in the long run. The fear of inaction, of what if, should outweigh the fear of failure. Dabasir, the camel trader, learned this lesson in the starkest possible terms. Stripped of his freedom and facing an unthinkable fate, he had a profound realization, asking himself, "If I had the soul of a slave, I should give up, lie down in the desert and die. But if I had the soul of a free man, what then? Surely I would force my way back to Babylon." His transformation wasn't a sudden gift of luck. It was a conscious decision to overcome the regret of inaction and reclaim his destiny. This is a powerful echo for today's entrepreneurs facing steep competition or remote workers considering a career leap into uncharted AI territory. The market doesn't reward perfect foresight. It rewards decisive action. The only true failure is the one you never attempted because you feared the outcome. The common thread across these insights is clear. Luck is a consequence of action, not a cause. But this journey isn't just about relentless pursuit. Action generates luck, but unguided action generates ruin. We need a set of laws to govern our ambition. The Newton Folly. In 1720, the brilliant mind of Sir Isaac Newton, a titan of reason who charted the cosmos, became entangled in earthly folly. He famously remarked of the South Sea bubble, "I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." Yet, despite his own prescience, Newton himself was swept up, losing the equivalent of millions today. His genius, his intellect, could not protect him from the very human instinct we will dissect today, the magnetic pull of impossible earnings and romantic desires in investment. This segment is not for those who believe wealth is a lottery ticket, a lucky break, or a game of chance. It is for those who seek to decode the enduring laws of prosperity, laws that transcend centuries and market cycles. Today, we dive into the second immutable principle from The Richest Man in Babylon, the 5 Laws of Gold, Rationality versus Greed. The book, through the character of Algamish, offers a stark warning, articulated vividly in the chapter, The Richest Man in Babylon. Every gold piece you save is a slave to work for you. Every copper it earns is its child that also can earn for you. If you would become wealthy, then what you save must earn, and its children must earn, that all may help to give to you the abundance you crave. This foundational insight leads us directly to the profound wisdom embedded in the 5 Laws of Gold. Consider the rationality check protocol. If the promised returns sound too good to be true, they are. This isn't cynicism. It's a fundamental economic law. In the chapter, The 5 Laws of Gold, the wisdom is crystal clear. Law 5 states, "Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment." This is the core truth Sir Isaac Newton tragically overlooked. In his pursuit of rapid gains, he ignored the inherent irrationality of the South Sea Company's projections, seduced by the collective delusion and the idea of quick riches. Today, we see this ancient principle playing out in the frenetic world of meme stocks, speculative crypto assets, and AI-driven venture bubbles. The internet amplifies hot tips, creating a relentless FOMO, fear of missing out, that can override rational thought. It steelmans the argument for quick gains. But someone is getting rich. Look at the early adopters. Why shouldn't I be one of them? The book directly addresses this allure in the same chapter. Fanciful propositions that thrill like adventure tales always come to the new owner of gold. These appear to endow his treasure with magic powers that will enable it to make impossible earnings. Yet heed ye the wise men, for verily they know the risks that lurk behind every plan to make great wealth suddenly. But as the narrative unfolds, particularly through the cautionary tales in the chapter, The Gold Lender of Babylon, we learn of Nomacer, who, despite receiving a bag of gold and the clay tablet with these very laws, squandered his inheritance. He chased a rigged horse race and invested in worthless bits of glass from unscrupulous Phoenicians, guided by a brickmaker's misplaced advice on jewels. He was seduced by the promise of rapid, improbable gains, losing his principle entirely. He, like Newton, fell victim to his inexperience and romantic desires in investment. This brings us to the patience protocol. True wealth is built through slow, boring compounding, not through fast, exciting gambles. Think of it not as a rocket launch, but as constructing a robust, self-repairing bridge across a vast canyon. Each girder, each rivet is intentionally placed and reinforced. The immediate thrill of a rocket disappearing into the sky is undeniable, but the long-term utility and enduring value come from the steady, meticulous construction of that bridge. As the sage Algamish advises, every gold piece you save is a slave to work for you. Every copper it earns is its child that also can earn for you. This isn't a quick sprint. It's a generational marathon. The book further introduces the expert consultation protocol. Law 3 explicitly states, "Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner, who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling." And Law 4 warns, "Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep." This is the System 2 override in action, engaging slow, analytical thinking rather than impulsive System 1 decisions. Before committing capital, consult those who have a demonstrable, consistent track record of success in that specific domain. Do not ask a brickmaker about jewels. Ask a jewel merchant. In today's digital age, this means rigorously vetting online gurus, understanding the difference between genuine experts and charismatic salesmen, and applying a robust due diligence framework. The ease of access to information, paradoxically, can also make it easier to fall for sophisticated tricksters, as their reach is global. The core lesson from The 5 Laws of Gold is not merely about what to do with money, but how to think about it. It's a call to develop a robust internal framework, a mental operating system that inoculates you against the siren song of speculative excess. Wealth, truly, is for those who understand its laws and abide by them. We know how to grow wealth. But what if you are starting from below zero? What if you are drowning in debt? The 70/20/10 Solvency Code. Dabasir, a man returned from Syrian slavery, found himself in Old Babylon, not with a hero's welcome, but with the crushing weight of unpaid debts. His very freedom felt conditional, a mirage shimmering over a financial quicksand. How does one, stripped of status, with no immediate means, not only erase his past liabilities but also build a future of wealth? This isn't just an ancient tale. It's a timeless paradox that haunts countless individuals today, caught in their own forms of economic servitude, be it from credit card debt, student loans, or the relentless pull of lifestyle inflation in a hyper-consumerist attention economy. The answer, as etched on the very clay tablets unearthed from Babylon's ruins, lies in a remarkably simple, yet profoundly disciplined mathematical framework, the 70/20/10 Solvency Code. This code, meticulously documented in the clay tablets from Babylon, isn't merely advice. It's a re-engineering of financial behavior, a protocol designed to recalibrate your relationship with money from one of constant reaction to one of deliberate creation. The 70% cap, forcing lifestyle into net income. The first pillar of this code is radical, almost counterintuitive for many drowning in debt. Force your lifestyle into 70% of your net income, immediately. Dabasir, having just escaped literal chains, understood the urgency of self-imposed discipline. In Tablet 1, the plan provided that Dabasir shall support and clothe my good wife. Therefore 7/10 of all I earn shall be used to provide a home, clothes to wear, and food to eat, with a bit extra to spend, that our lives be not lacking in pleasure and enjoyment. This isn't about deprivation for its own sake, but about strategic retrenchment. In today's landscape of endless digital subscriptions, rapid consumption cycles, and the gamification of spending, this 70% cap is your digital fortress against lifestyle creep. Think of it as installing a new operating system for your personal finances, one that prioritizes sustainability over instant gratification. It's a hard reset on the default-to-spend programming ingrained by the attention economy, allowing you to reclaim sovereignty over your economic choices. Now, a common objection, and a very strong one at that, steelmans the argument. But what if my current expenses already exceed 70% of my income? What if I'm barely surviving? This isn't about magic. It's about ruthless prioritization. Dabasir and his wife, as revealed in Tablet 4, have stood by the plan even though we have bought no new raiment and eaten little but herbs. This isn't a call to austerity forever, but a temporary, strategic starvation of unnecessary desires to feed the future. It forces a stark evaluation. What is truly necessary versus what is merely desired or culturally conditioned? This is where the wisdom of the ancients collides with modern, by now, pay-later culture, demanding a return to foundational economic reality. The 20% debt sniper, methodical debt elimination. Once the 70% cap is established, the next 20% of your net income is deployed as a debt sniper. This is a relentless, methodical allocation towards your existing liabilities, ensuring consistent, impartial repayment to all creditors. Dabasir, in his Resolve, explains in Tablet 3, "Therefore each time the moon is full, 2/10 of all I have earned shall be divided honorably and fairly among those who have trusted me and to whom I am indebted. Thus in due time will all my indebtedness be surely paid." This isn't haphazard. It's a strategic campaign against your financial enemies. It involves active negotiation and transparency, as Dabasir visited my creditors and explained to them that I have no resources with which to pay except my ability to earn, and that I intend to apply 2/10 of all I earn upon my indebtedness evenly and honestly. This proactive approach disarms the psychological burden of debt. Instead of avoiding creditors, you confront them with a transparent, executable plan. This principle can be seen playing out on a grand scale in corporate turnarounds. Consider the example of Lee Iacocca saving Chrysler in the 1980s. Chrysler was effectively bankrupt, facing a hostile economic environment. Iacocca didn't just cut costs. He renegotiated with creditors the 20% allocation, secured government loan guarantees, maintained product development, part of the 70% operational budget, and forced operational efficiency throughout the company. He applied the camel trader's logic to a Fortune 500 turnaround, recognizing that confronting liabilities with a clear, disciplined repayment plan was paramount to regaining trust and stability. As Dabasir articulates in Tablet 3, the transformation is profound. "I now realize the great extent of my folly in running away from the results of my extravagances. Therefore am I more determined than ever to carry through, being convinced that it is easier to pay one's just debts than to avoid them." The 20% debt sniper transforms evasion into empowerment. The 10% sacred fund, your psychological anchor for wealth. Finally, and perhaps most crucially, is the 10% sacred fund. This is the portion of your income you save even while deep in debt. It's not just about future wealth. It's a psychological anchor, a tangible demonstration of self-worth and a profound act of self-payment. Dabasir, in Tablet 1, quoting Mathan, underscores this: "That man who keepeth in his purse both gold and silver that he need not spend is good to his family and loyal to his king." This 10% is your seed capital, your personal sovereign wealth fund. It builds confidence and, as Dabasir notes in Tablet 5, "It mocketh my head to stand straight upon my shoulders and mocketh me proud to walk among my friends." This seemingly small, consistent act of saving, even amidst financial struggle, fundamentally shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. It creates a positive feedback loop. As your personal fund grows, so does your confidence and your ability to attract more opportunities. It's the ultimate ROI in self-belief. In an era where many chase speculative gains in crypto or meme stocks, this ancient wisdom reminds us that true wealth is built on consistent, deliberate accumulation, not fleeting luck. The consistent deposit into your 10% fund, like Dabasir's 1/10 of all I earned, cultivates a long-term perspective essential for navigating the volatile markets and rapid technological shifts of 2024. It's the constant, reliable stream you build, rather than the occasional flood you hope for. The 70/20/10 solvency code, derived from Dabasir's harrowing yet triumphant journey, offers a clear path out of the modern financial wilderness. It's a blueprint for anyone seeking to transition from financial victim to financial master. This code works for the debtor. But what about the lender? How do you know who to trust with your hard-won gold? The collateral imperative. We all harbor that benevolent impulse, don't we? The urge to extend a hand, especially to a friend or family member seeking a boost. We see their ambition, hear their grand plans, and our hearts often override our heads. But in the unforgiving arena of financial stewardship, goodwill alone is a poor guarantor of return. This is the paradox Mathan, the seasoned gold lender of Babylon, confronted daily. His wisdom offers a chilling lesson for anyone navigating today's wild financial frontiers. In the chapter, The Gold Lender of Babylon, we witness Rawdon, flush with the king's gift of 50 pieces of gold, wrestling with this very dilemma. His sister's husband, Araman, dreams of becoming a rich merchant and seeks a loan. Rawdon's immediate inclination is to help family. This sentiment is timeless. Fast forward to 2024. How many of us have been swayed by the romantic desires of a friend launching a dubious crypto project, an AI startup with an unproven business model, or a content creation venture in the attention economy, promising exponential returns? The allure of supporting a loved one, or simply the fear of missing out on a moonshot, can blind us. Mathan, however, cuts through sentiment with the precision of a master artisan. His primary counsel to Rawdon is stark. What desirest thou most of this gold in thy wallet? Rawdon's reply, to keep it safe. Mathan's response echoes through millennia. Wisely spoken, thy first desire is for safety. This isn't just advice. It's the collateral imperative protocol. It mandates that the preservation of principle always precedes the pursuit of profit. We saw the devastating consequences of ignoring this axiom during the 2022 crypto contagion. Lending platforms like FTX and Celsius lent billions without proper collateral or due diligence. They were driven by what Mathan would call romantic desires for high yields, completely disregarding his core principle. If the borrower has no genuine capacity to repay, the loan is not an investment. It is a gift, as George S. Clason, through Mathan cautions, better a little caution than a great regret. This isn't cynicism. It's risk management at its most fundamental. Before even considering the loan to Araman, Mathan performs a ruthless capacity check. He asks Rawdon to evaluate Araman's actual knowledge and skill. What knowledge have you of the ways of trade? Do you know where you can buy at lowest cost? Do you know where you can sell at a fair price? Rawdon's honest admission, no, he could not, immediately flags Araman as an impractical venture. This Babylonian protocol applies directly to modern investment vetting. When evaluating a startup, a new venture, or even a personal loan for a business idea, we must ask, does the individual possess the demonstrable skills, the validated knowledge, and the proven track record to execute? Or are we simply funding enthusiasm? Enthusiasm is a potent fuel, but it makes for a terrible engine without the underlying structure of competence. Mathan's wisdom implies an income engine audit. Does the borrower have a reliable, sustainable mechanism to generate the necessary cash flow to service the debt and grow their wealth? Without it, even the most noble ambition becomes a financial quicksand. Mathan reveals the secrets of his token chest, a physical embodiment of his lending philosophy. Each loan is secured by a token, a piece of collateral representing real value. He differentiates between loans based on property, lands, jewels, camels of more value than the loan, and those based on human effort, assured earning capacity, requiring honesty and good fortune. Crucially, for those who have neither property nor assured earning capacity, Mathan emphasizes the need for guarantees by good friends of the borrower who know him honorable. This is the tangible token protocol. In today's digital age, A token can be more than physical collateral. It can be intellectual property, a robust personal brand with measurable revenue streams, or a transparent, verifiable track record of income. The lesson is clear. Never lend or invest based solely on a compelling narrative or a charismatic personality. Demand a tangible token, a verifiable asset, a proven system, or an ironclad guarantee. Without it, you are not engaging in commerce. You are engaging in speculation, often with a predictable outcome. Now, a critic might argue that this approach stifles innovation, that great ventures often begin with audacious risks, fueled by belief rather than ironclad collateral. They might point to the countless tech giants that started with little more than a dream and a shaky business plan, funded by visionary, risk-tolerant investors. Surely, Mathen's rigid protocols would have missed the next Google or Apple. However, Mathen's wisdom isn't about stifling calculated risk. It's about eliminating reckless speculation. The visionary investors who backed early tech giants were not lending blindly. They were often experts in the nascent fields, performing their own capacity check on founders' technical acumen and market understanding, and frequently taking equity stakes, becoming partners rather than mere lenders. Even then, they diversified across many high-risk ventures, understanding that most would fail. They adhered to a different kind of token, the intellectual capital and relentless drive of the founders, coupled with market analysis. Mathen's caution applies most acutely to the average individual whose financial ruin impacts not just themselves, but their entire family. For these individuals, as Mathen advises Rodden, it's about protecting their limited principal, not chasing the highest, most improbable returns. We have covered the mechanics of wealth. Now we must address the soul of the wealthy man, the slave versus the sovereign. A man can wear chains and yet be free. Another can be physically unbound, yet a prisoner of his own making. This ancient paradox confronts us directly in the story of Dabasir, the camel trader. He, a freeborn Babylonian, found himself sold into Syrian slavery, not by conquest, but by his own financial follies and a desperate flight from responsibility. His mistress, Sirah, delivers the truth that shatters his self-deception. In The Camel Trader of Babylon, she challenges him. How can you call yourself a free man when your weakness has brought you to this? If a man has in himself the soul of a slave, will he not become one no matter what his birth, even as water seeks its level? This isn't about physical chains, it's about the internal state. Dabasir realized his true captors were his unpaid debts and the avoidance of them. This is the inner free man mindset, accepting absolute responsibility for one's conditions. No blaming fate, no deferring. It's a hard reset on the internal algorithm of blame. Sirah further cuts through his self-pity, stating, "Thy debts are thine enemies who have run thee out of Babylon." His escape from Babylon wasn't freedom. It was merely changing prisons. True liberation began when he reframed labor. Instead of viewing work as a burden, he embraced it as the tool of his emancipation. Think of it as a personal ROI calculation. Every productive hour invested was a step towards buying back his sovereignty. The market, whether ancient or modern, rewards value creation. His choice to learn and excel as a baker, even as a slave, was his first profitable investment in himself, yielding not just coppers but confidence. Megiddo, another slave, articulated this perfectly in The Luckiest Man in Babylon. Work, well done, does good to the man who does it. It makes him a better man. This is the antithesis of the quiet quitting or coasting mentality. It's about deriving spiritual and financial ROI from deliberate effort. Dabasir's transformation culminates in a singular, unyielding resolve. Where the determination is, the way can be found. This isn't mere platitude. It's a protocol. First, acknowledge your debts, your enemies. Second, commit to a systematic repayment plan. as Dabasur did with his 20% allocation of earnings. Third, prioritize consistent execution over instant gratification, living within a prudent 70% budget. This structured approach, documented in the clay tablets from Babylon, converted overwhelming debt into a manageable, solvable problem. In an age of infinite digital distractions and algorithms designed to fragment our attention, Dabasur's focused determination is the ultimate competitive advantage. It's the deep work equivalent of a multi-stage rocket, where each stage, from diligently saving a portion to systematically paying down debts, builds compounding momentum for eventual wealth creation. Now, a critic might argue, but isn't this just survivor bias? Dabasur got lucky with a benevolent mistress and a chance to escape. What about those truly trapped, facing systemic injustices, or the sheer randomness of the gig economy where effort doesn't always guarantee reward? This is a powerful Steelman point. Life is often unfair, and external circumstances can be brutally limiting. However, Dabasur's story isn't about the absence of external constraints, but the response to internal ones. Consider Viktor Frankl in the Nazi concentration camps. Like Dabasur in his Syrian bondage, Frankl realized that while his captors could take his physical freedom, they could not take his last of the human freedoms: the ability to choose his attitude, to find meaning even in suffering. He found his work in observing human behavior and maintaining his intellectual integrity, proving that the soul of a free man exists regardless of chains. This isn't about ignoring external reality, but about controlling the internal response, finding agency where it seems absent. Dabasur's determination, even as a slave, unlocked opportunities that were otherwise invisible. He created his own luck by becoming valuable. In the 2024 to 2025 landscape, where AI threatens to commoditize routine tasks and the attention economy constantly pulls us towards low-value consumption, the slave versus sovereign distinction is starker than ever. The slave to the algorithm endlessly consumes, reacting to fleeting trends and deferring discomfort. The sovereign, however, practices deep work, cultivates high-value skills, takes radical responsibility, and constructs their personal financial freedom, much like Dabasur meticulously built his baking enterprise. The modern chains are often invisible. Debt, consumerism, and the illusion of effortless success perpetuated online. Dabasur's protocol for debt repayment and wealth accumulation is not just financial strategy. It is a blueprint for reclaiming agency in a world designed to diminish it. So, does this ancient wisdom survive the scrutiny of the digital age? Let's render the verdict. The immutable laws. We stand at the precipice of a future defined by exponential change, AI, Web3, remote economies. Yet, the foundational truths of wealth remain as etched in clay tablets as they are in Silicon Valley. The greatest paradox? The very simplicity of these truths often makes them the hardest to accept. We crave intricate algorithms, secret hacks, when the bedrock wisdom remains universally accessible. Many among you, navigating the hyper-connected, hyper-volatile markets of 2024, might scoff. Babylonian parables? You might ask. In an era of AI-driven trading, decentralized finance, and venture capital, how can ancient wisdom possibly compete with the bleeding edge? You might argue that the financial landscape is too intricate, too layered, for rudimentary rules to hold sway. But this skepticism, while understandable, falls into the very complexity trap the book warns against. The core laws of wealth, like the laws of physics, transcend technological cycles. In the opening section, it explicitly declares, "Money is governed today by the same laws which controlled it when prosperous men thronged the streets of Babylon 6,000 years ago." And further, in the foreword, it asserts these laws are universal and unchanging, like the law of gravity. Your investment platform may be digital, your income stream global, but the principles of accumulation and preservation remain rooted in human nature and timeless economic reality. Reject the illusion that complexity equals efficacy. Often, it's a smokescreen for confusion, and an expensive one at that. The singular, immutable protocol derived from Babylon's richest man, Arkad, is shockingly straightforward. Pay yourself first. As Algamish famously counseled Arkad, and Arkad later taught his students, a part of all you earn is yours to keep. It should be not less than a tenth no matter how little you earn. Pay yourself first. This isn't just advice. It's the financial equivalent of planting a seed. Every unit of currency you save, Arkad reveals in the chapter detailing the 7 cures for a lean purse, is a slave to work for you. Every copper it earns is its child that also can earn for you. Imagine that. A legion of golden slaves working for you, compounding through digital networks while you sleep. This is the ultimate passive income algorithm. The math isn't complex. The discipline is. This brings us to the execution gap. Everyone understands the principle of saving 10%. Few execute it consistently. Bansir, the chariot builder, and Kabi, the musician, in their early struggles, understood their empty purses, but lacked the protocol and resolve to fill them. Nomacer, Arkad's son, initially squandered his gold, falling prey to schemes and inexperience, proving that innate understanding alone isn't enough. In the chapter outlining the 5 laws of gold, Nomacer's journey underscores that wealth flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. The difficulty is not in the calculus, but in conquering the human impulse for instant gratification and the fear of missing out on the next shiny, complex, high-risk play in the crypto or AI markets. So, who is this book not for? This wisdom is decidedly not for the gambler seeking a quick fortune at the digital casino, nor for the procrastinator described in the Meet the Goddess of Good Luck chapter, who lets opportunity slip by. It's not for those who believe a new asset class or a groundbreaking AI stock negates the need for fundamental financial gravity. If your ambition is to get rich quick, if you refuse the slow, deliberate work of building, then this book offers little more than an interesting historical anecdote. But if you are willing to apply timeless principles to your modern income streams, whether from remote work, your startup, or even judicious crypto investments, then the path is clear. Start the 10% protocol today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Now, for our final verdict on the richest man in Babylon. First, the who is this not for check. This book is unequivocally not for those seeking speculative shortcuts, lottery wins in the stock market, or overnight crypto riches. It actively advises against such pursuits. It's not for the individual unwilling to practice delayed gratification or embrace consistent, albeit sometimes unglamorous, discipline. The final verdict: this book is an absolute buy. It is foundational, essential reading for anyone embarking on a financial journey, or for those who find themselves perpetually stuck in the lean purse cycle, regardless of their income. Its parables distill complex financial truths into memorable, actionable wisdom. Discussion spark. Will you be the one who reads the tablet and forgets, or the one who digs his way out of the desert? If you found value in this wisdom, subscribe for more.